All right. What's up out there to all of my fellow gold diggers? This is your girl, Rita, also known as the self-proclaimed gold digger. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. I am so glad to have you. But if you are a fellow gold digger, welcome back. Y'all know I love and I appreciate each and every one of you. It is time for Tipsy Tuesday. Tonight, we are finishing up the Entrepreneur Series. Shout out to April, who wanted me to continue with the characteristics of an entrepreneur because I still had a few more that I wanted to share. I've already shared, I don't know. I've shared 20 characteristics of an entrepreneur, things that I had to develop, and I have 11 more to share with you on tonight. But this is the final part. We will not do any more. Now, before I get started, y'all, I always have to check my social media accounts, make sure we're good on all ends. So let me do that really, really quickly. And then we are going to go ahead and get started. So let me look really, really quick. I hope everyone has been having a wonderful day as well as a wonderful start to their week. Let me see. And it looks like we are good there. And let me check one other place. And we're going to get going. And I hope y'all have been finding this helpful. If you have not seen the other two videos, please be sure to check it out. The first part, I gave you some of my backstory with my entrepreneur journey and how I kind of got started in entrepreneurship, as well as sharing some traits. And then last week, week 2, we just shared all the traits, y'all. All right. So I'm looking at myself, y'all. I got my glasses on today. Usually I have my contacts on and I can see. I hate that my ring light is reflected in here. But if I turn the ring light off, y'all are not going to be able to see me. So let me see. Yeah. Oh, and that. Okay. So that is with the ring light off. Y'all can't hardly see me because the lighting is not good in here. So I got to turn the ring light back on. And y'all, if I take my glasses off because I don't have my contacts in, I can't see. So y'all are just gonna have to deal with the reflections from the ring light, and it's driving me crazy. So I apologize in advance if the reflections are bothering you as much as they are bothering me. Okay, but let's go ahead and get into it. I told y'all or shared with y'all, these are characteristics that all of these characteristics I did not possess. Some of them I did have, some aspects of them I had, but with me being an entrepreneur and a business owner, I had to grow and develop a lot of these characteristics, or these characteristics had to evolve more for me once I started my business. Last week, I am going to start with what we ended on last week. The last characteristic I shared on last week was that as an entrepreneur, you need to be purposeful. And I wanted to start there just because I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to have a purpose. I know a lot of people, they go through life or they say they don't know what their purpose is, or they're trying to figure out what their purpose is in life. But as an entrepreneur, you need to know what your purpose is. Not so much, I won't say not so much. You know what your purpose is for your business, like what your ultimate goal is, like why you started the business and that kind of thing. But everything you do, every aspect of that business should have a purpose. Whether you're running a sale, whether you're running a promotion, whether you're launching a new product or service, whatever you do, it should be purposeful. And I say that because too many people are doing things just randomly. And I'm not just talking about in business, I'm talking about in life in general. They have no reason, no rhyme or reason behind the things that they are doing. And they don't even know what the purpose of it is going to be. And you need to know what your purpose is, and especially in business, because you can find that you will easily get kind of like distracted or going down one path, and you'll start straying away from your vision or your ultimate goal that you might have, just because you start doing things without a clear defined purpose of why you're even doing that particular thing. So I wanted to start there because I felt that was a really important point. just being purposeful in your business as well as in everything that you do, whether that's hiring somebody, letting someone go, changing up systems, changing up processes, adding new systems or processes. You need to know what the purpose is. What is the ultimate goal? What are you hoping to, what is the outcome that you are hoping to get from doing this particular thing? So as an entrepreneur, please, please, please remember to be purposeful. Okay. All right, but let's get into the new characteristics that you need to have as an entrepreneur. So the first one I have, and y'all, I don't know if I'm gonna say these, like I might get the numbers all mixed up because I was trying to go through, let me write the numbers real quick. I was trying to go through all of these last week. So I had the old numbers from last week here. So I'm gonna renumber them really quickly so I can make sure I'm counting down like I'm supposed to. All right. So the first thing we have on tonight is, as an entrepreneur, you have to be ambitious. And I think that one kind of goes without saying. With you starting a business, with you starting a side hustle, with you wanting to be an entrepreneur, you have to have some kind of level of ambition where you just go after stuff and you want to get stuff done. So a great characteristic of an entrepreneur is that they are ambitious. We are not typically, lazy people. We tend to have big, big dreams. We tend to have big, big goals. And, oftentimes we think outside of the box, and everybody does not always see this big, lofty thing that we are shooting or aiming for. But that is just how we are. Okay. And I think I shared, do I have it? I didn't share this one. Okay. I know we tend, with you being ambitious, you tend to be like I won't say a dreamer, but I guess kind of like a dreamer. It's just, you just have these big, high goals and high expectations that you want to go after and that you want to achieve. And not just for yourself. Oftentimes you want to be able to like impact your community, be able to help other people. So you have to have this level of ambition, and something that is, with being ambitious, you also realize that a lot of things are a little bit bigger than you. Like the thing that you are trying to go after is bigger than you, because once you achieve it, you'll be able to impact all these different people. You'll be able to change the course of things for so many different people, so many different lives. And let's look at, if we look at some of the people who are heads of these big corporations that we know, love, and consume. If you look at Amazon, like it started off as them just selling books online. Now you go to Amazon for everything. The level of ambition that Jeff Bezos had to have in terms of growing his company and expanding his company beyond selling books. I mean, who would have thought? Who would have thought that we would have been buying stuff online like that? We just never would imagine. And same thing with even with Bill Gates and I know he created like Microsoft, and with the personal computers, and the fact that a lot of people have their own computers in their home, and you have your own individual laptop or tablet and that kind of thing. The fact that you can use all that different technology, Apple as well, the fact that so many of us have smartphones, and looking at the phone beyond just being able to make phone calls. So like when I first had a phone, when I first got my cell phone, it was primarily to make phone calls. Like that was the main thing that we did. I know that just shows you how long I've had a cell phone. We did send text, but not like how we do now. Like text is probably the main form of communication. Like a lot of people do not want to talk, but all the things that we can do on our phone now. So just imagine the level of ambition these particular people had to have. And let's look at even, Sam Walton, who founded Walmart. Like who would have thought you can go in Walmart and pretty much get anything that you want. Pretty much you can find anything in there. And there are so many different Walmarts located throughout the country. Same thing goes for like McDonald's, the McDonald's brothers, even though they sold their company and that kind of thing. But the fact that they expanded how we consume food, how they had to have these lofty goals, these lofty visions for themselves. So a lot of entrepreneurs, we are very ambitious. Like we are not really here trying to do the same thing that someone else is doing. If we are doing the same thing someone else is doing, we're trying to do it bigger, better, on a grander scale, with a different way, some kind of way that you have not seen before. Okay. Like even with myself, as an optometrist, I opened up my own business, but I don't want to be known as just a regular optometrist. I decided to have a specialty. So I see kids. So I'm a pediatric optometrist. So that is my main specialty. I also do vision therapy. So it's like I didn't want to just open my business and do the same thing that everybody else is doing. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, or anybody who wants to do that or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that, especially if you open it up in an area where there's definitely a need. But I wanted to say, hey, I see a special population that I can cater to, that I can help, that can benefit from my services. And that is what I want to focus on when I have my business. Okay. So as an entrepreneur, you have to be ambitious. You have to be able to think outside of the box and kind of like push the envelope past what is expected, what is the norm, and kind of figure out or see how can I be creative and create some new thing that is going to be beneficial to the people around me. Another good example is like Elon Musk with Tesla and the electric car. And now y'all see those trucks that look horrible to me. But anyway, who would have thought we would have an electric vehicle or whatever, cars driving themselves, like stuff we saw on the Jetsons. He made happen. He made reality. And really, he is like transcending the car industry, because literally that is like a computer. It's pretty much a computer. It's like a robot. You pretty much are having a robot that is like driving you and stuff like that. As well as the car is gathering information about, the highways and stuff like that, versus a car is just taking you from point A to point B. This is like a smart car that is getting information as you're driving to different places. Okay. So he's even transcended how we are using vehicles, the automotives and stuff like that. When Henry Ford first created, the first, what is it? The Model T car or whatever. But anyway, so as an entrepreneur, you need to be ambitious. Now, the second thing I have for tonight, the characteristic you need to have as an entrepreneur, is you have to be a team player. Okay. And let me see. Y'all let me know, making sure I don't have any comments. Y'all say what's up. Let me know where you're checking in from. And if you have any questions, let me know. All right, so we're good. I don't have any comments right now. So you have to be a team player. The reason I say this, even though as an entrepreneur, you're doing a lot of stuff on your own. As a business owner, you're kind of like starting off, and you start off doing a lot of things on your own, or having this big dream, this big vision, and a lot of the groundwork, you're putting in a lot of the effort on your own, especially if you're new to the space and you don't already have like a team around you. But you definitely have to be a team player. The reason I say that is because once you start needing help in your business, or you have a business where you have to bring on other people that are going to help you fulfill your services, you have to be able to navigate different personalities, different temperaments, and you have to be able to figure out, how am I going to be able to work with this individual, even though they might be different from me, and when I say different, I'm saying temperament and their attitude and that kind of thing. But hopefully if you're the boss and you've hired somebody, you're hiring somebody who you feel is going to be a good fit in the position as well as in your company. That is another thing. You want to make sure that the person you hire is going to fit well in your company, but more so being a team player, because everybody learns differently. So you have to literally figure out, okay, this person is a verbal learner, so I can tell them what to do and they are able to execute it. But when I tell Susie what to do, she is clueless. So I have to actually show Susie how to do this thing, versus Tom, I can just tell him how to do this thing and he's able to do it. So you have to be a team player and be able to communicate with people in the way that is going to be most effective for them to hear and listen and execute their job. You also have to be able to be a team player in terms of if someone is unable to fulfill their position, or they're, I won't say lacking, but I guess for lack of a better term, if they are lacking or slacking in a certain area, you have to know how to do the things that are required for that particular position, or teach someone else how to do it, or pitch in until you can find someone who is able to do it. So you really have to be able to just kind of go in different areas of your company or of your business, and it might not be the thing that you thought you were going to be doing as this entrepreneur or business owner, but for the good of your company, for the good of your business, you are pitching in and you're doing what is necessary so that you can get the job done. So you have to be able to do that and be a team player in that particular aspect. And that sometimes means, or it often means, like putting your ego aside. Like, I ain't even supposed to be doing that. Like, I'm the owner. I'm not supposed to be cleaning these bathrooms or whatever, or I'm not supposed to be sweeping up, or I shouldn't have to be doing this. And for a seat, and I'm also not saying, like, I don't think like the CEO of Apple or whatever is, sweeping, mopping, cleaning bathrooms or whatever. Once you get to a certain status or a certain level, your company grows to a certain point, you won't have to worry about these kinds of things. But I'm just saying, you cannot be like, think of yourself as being above doing those certain tasks. And I would say a good example of this is like is with Chick-fil-A. Like, what is his name? His name is Kathy. I can't think of his first name, but when people talk about Mr. Kathy, they say that, he is like a very down to earth guy. He kind of fits in with like the regular society. Like, he just looks like a regular person. And if you see the people working at Chick-fil-A, or, well, I guess since my daughter works at a Chick-fil-A, you will see like sometimes the head managers and stuff like that are out there filling orders, helping out the staff, doing stuff that you wouldn't think that the main store manager is going to be doing, but they pitch in wherever it's necessary. And oftentimes as an entrepreneur, especially if you're small and you're just starting out, you got to be a team player and pitch in, get in where you fit in to make sure your company is running as smoothly as possible. Okay. Now, that ties into the next thing. The third thing is you have to be a great communicator. And I kind of touched upon this already because, like I said, everybody has different learning styles. You have to know, like, some people are verbal learners, some people are visual learner, but also you have to learn how to talk to people in a certain way where they feel motivated. And some people, like, they are motivated when you just like, hey, we have this goal we need to get done, and I need you to do X, Y, and Z. Like, they have their tasks, they're ready to run. Other people, they might need more of a pep talk. Like, Susie, you did such a great job last time. We really need you to come in and do what you did last time, work your magic. It's like you got to kind of like caress these people's egos sometimes. And it's not to say like you're sucking up or you're lying to people or whatever, but you really have to figure out what motivates people to get the job done. Some people, they like a more direct tone. Some people need a softer tone. Some people need a pep talk. They need some encouragement. Some people need reinforcement. Like, they don't feel like they are doing a good job, or so you have to reassure them that, hey, you did great with this. You work really well in this area. I love how you do this particular thing or whatever, because they don't have the confidence in themselves to know like they are excelling or that they are doing well. So you have to be a great communicator when it comes to that. And a great communicator in terms of not only just motivating your team and getting them to do what you want them to do or what you need them to do for the sake of the business, but also a great communicator when it comes to times where you have to discipline your team or your staff members and things things of that nature. Like, you have to know what's the tone that I need to take. Like, if somebody messed up, if somebody didn't do what they were supposed to, you can't just do it in like a playful tone, or, like a, joking tone or whatever. You have to make sure you are maintaining a serious tone so that they understand the gravity of the situation, as well as making sure that, you're not yelling at the person or getting an attitude with the person or anything like that. So you have to keep a professional, direct, calm, level tone, even when people are getting on your last nerve and you told them 5 different times before that this is not how you're supposed to do that. You still have to like keep yourself in check and be like, hey, this is my employee. This is the way I need to talk to them. Now, that is in regards to talking to your staff members, if you have staff members. But you also have to be a great communicator when it comes to your customers as well, or your clients and stuff. Making sure you are accurately conveying the right message to them, accurately giving them the correct information so that they know what to expect, so that you are giving them feedback that they need. Like, if they ordered something, making sure you give them clear timelines for when it's expected. If they're asking something of you that you don't provide, or that is an extra service, letting them know the cost and stuff like that, and being confident in talking to them about the different costs, or about, the extras and things like that. Like, you have to be able to present to people as well as be persuasive, like be able to persuade people. And that all goes into being a great communicator, to get people to hear what you're saying, as well as to buy into your product or service. So I know for myself, I won't say switching back and forth, but you really have to think before you speak about, how am I going to communicate this to this staff member, or how am I going to communicate this to this particular client? Or if you have a client or a customer who is upset, how am I going to remedy the situation or de-escalate the situation to get the patient, I say patient since that's who I see, the person calm, and be receptive of hearing what you're trying to tell them. Because oftentimes when people are upset, especially like customers and stuff like that, they are so upset and they're not actually hearing what you're saying, but because they're in such a, so upset or whatever. So you have to make sure you are communicating in a way that is effective, that they are actually listening to you and hearing what you're saying, and you're like smoothing over the situation. Okay. Yeah, it can be a lot. Just just communicating with your staff, as well as communicating with your clients, as well as making sure that your communication is effective. So you're trying to monitor your tone and your, all that kind of stuff. And while you're monitoring your tone and how you're delivering the message, you're trying to make sure that what is being communicated is actually being received. So yeah, you have to be a great communicator. So if you have a product or service where you are having to interact with any kind of person, whether it's a client, whether it's a staff member, you definitely have to work on your communication skills to make sure things are being executed like you want them to be. All right. All right. Let's see. Next up, let me take a sip though. Oh, y'all, you know what? I jumped in. I realized I didn't even tell y'all. I skipped over a lot of stuff. I didn't do our song. I didn't tell y'all about Tipsy Tuesday if you're new. I didn't do any of that stuff. So let me back up. I'm not going to do the song. But if you are new to Tipsy Tuesdays, basically what we do is on Tuesdays, we take some sips as I share some tips. I'm just drinking on water on this evening. So usually I'll share with y'all what I am sipping on. You don't have to drink on anything alcoholic. Whatever you decide to drink is your choice. All right. And then also, I always forget to do this too. If you find my content helpful, if you are enjoying it, Please be sure to like. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe. And y'all, shout out to all of my new subscribers. I shared with y'all on last week that I hit 4,000 subscribers. So I'm very, very thankful to all of you guys for supporting me and becoming fellow gold diggers with me. All right, so on to the next thing. So y'all, let me see. Okay, I see right now. We are, like I said, this is going to be the last installment of the Entrepreneur Series. So we have only covered 3. So I'm going to start talking a little bit faster and maybe not going into so much detail. So the fourth trait you need to possess as an entrepreneur is you need to be a visionary. And that kind of goes into what I was talking about when it comes to being ambitious. We have these big goals, big dreams, and oftentimes we are the only ones that can see this big vision and this big picture that we have. I won't say you have to be able to look into the future, but you have to kind of like be predictive of what might happen in the future. So if you are in, I don't know, if you're in the clothing business, you have to be kind of predictive or try and be like, hey, where do you think the clothing industry is going to be next year? Where do you think it's going to be in 5 years? What kind of things do you think people are going to like for fall? What do you think people are going to like for summer, for spring? So you have to be visionary and always forward thinking and trying to see what direction is my business going into? What direction is my industry going into, so that I can always stay, ahead of the curve or just like right on trend with the things that are happening? Because if you don't have that visionary mindset, you will get left behind. Okay. So you have to think, what direction is this shifting and turning into? What is it looking like? What is it evolving into? Just like in my profession, telehealth, it has gotten bigger. Like, who would have thought, prior to COVID, telehealth was not that big where, you're doing, doctor's visits via your phone or whatever. So you have to be kind of forward thinking. I would have to be kind of forward thinking, like, how would telehealth look in my particular profession? How is that going to look 5 years from now? What kind of things do I need to have in place to make sure when, 50% of exams are through telehealth, which I hope not, but I don't know. It is trending that way. So you also cannot, I will say this, you also cannot just bury your head in the sand and be like, nah, it's not going to happen. Or I don't think it's going to be like that. You have to stay current on what is going on in your space, in your industry, and see, what vision do I have for that? How can I incorporate that into my business? How can I be visionary in what I see for the future? So that's what I mean with, you kind of have to, you're not predicting the future, but you are trying to figure out, what will people like a year from now, 2 years from now, and how can I stay on top of that? What are people going to expect a year from now, 2 years from now? Just like what happened with COVID, like most people are working from home and stuff like that. A lot of people were not, they're not used to that or weren't expecting that. But now that is a real thing, like having virtual people. So I'm actually considering, like, what would a virtual staff member look like for me? How can I incorporate a virtual employee into my office so that it's beneficial to me? So you have to be that forward thinking and visionary in so many different aspects of your business when you're an entrepreneur or small business owner. And you can't just be focused on what you're doing as in the business. So say if you make shirts or something like that, or you make t-shirts or whatever, you can't be so focused on, I'm just want to focus on creating shirts or whatever. You need to focus on, like, okay, I'm making shirts and I'm making these slogans for shirts, but are people going to want tank tops? Are people going to want, sweatshirts, hoodies, crop tops? You have to be like, well, what kind of shirt? Even though I'm like being the creative person that's designing the shirt and coming up with slogans for the shirt or whatever. But if it's a slogan that is on, I don't know, a button-up shirt, nobody's probably buying that. Okay, not saying you would do that, but you just have to think about what are the trends going to be in the future and be visionary in that way. So that was number 4, which ties into the next one I have, number 5, which is you have to be creative. You have to be creative, and creative in the sense, like I said, with kind of like predicting the future, trying to be a visionary and figure out what's going to happen next in my industry so that I can still stay on trend, but also creative in your problem solving because you are going to encounter things in your business that might, I won't say derail you, but it might cause like a setback. And you might have to get creative in the ways that you kind of adjust to that, accommodate for that. You have to get creative, like I was mentioning with you about being a good communicator. So you got to come up with ways, like, hey, this person doesn't receive it this way. So how can I say it in a way that they can receive it, or that is more beneficial to them? So you are creative in so many ways, and not just in your specific area or your specific specialty. You're creative in how you're thinking outside of the box to problem solve issues that you have. And oftentimes it's helpful to have people around you that think differently than you so that they can see the problem from a different angle and be able to kind of help you solve it and help you navigate it. And if you can't have people around you that think differently, I would highly suggest you read business books, or go to different conferences and things like that to get more business information or leadership information. And that's one of the reasons why I read, or I tend to gravitate to business books, or I try to read a lot of different business books, is because I want to see the different perspectives that other business owners have. How have they navigated different challenges? How have they viewed different situations? Like I always say, I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to be learning and growing from other people so that I can see different angles of how people think differently, which is ultimately going to help me be able to problem solve differently and help me to be more creative in the things that I need to do. So that was number 5. The next thing you have, excuse me. All right, the next thing I have on my list, the characteristic trait that you have to have. Let's see. Oh, what's up, April? I see I have a comment. I gave you a shout out earlier because I said I'm only doing this because of you. So she says, hello all. A little late, but I'm here for part 3. Yes, I'm doing this mainly for you, April, because I would have cut it off, but I'm glad you were able to join. All right, so the number 6 thing that we have, or character trait that I have for an entrepreneur, is that you have to possess consistency. And what I mean by that is, one, you have to be consistent in what you are devoted to doing. So you will not always, well, people, we kind of touched about this too before. People might not always believe in your goal or the dream that you have, or in the business idea that you have. So you have to be willing to be consistent in that area so that you can persist and see it to fruition. So you have to be consistent in that particular sense. You also have to be consistent in regards to how you're servicing your customers or your clients. Like you can't be, say if you making shirts or whatever, you have to make sure the quality of the shirt is consistent, whether that person bought the shirt this year or the following year. Like they don't want to see that there's like, I bought your shirt last year and the quality was really good, but then when I got it this year, it started ripping after I wore it like 2 times or whatever. So you have to have consistency in terms of the quality of the services that you provide or the products that you provide, in terms of as well as consistency in your customer service, consistency as well as in how you are setting up your systems and processes and stuff. You don't want to have people working for you. Like if you have staff or employees, you don't want to say, hey, this is how we do it, how we do this particular thing. And then a new staff member comes and you're like, oh, well, you don't have to do this particular step. You can skip this step and you can do it this way. Like you have to be consistent in so many different areas, especially when it comes to the customer experience as well as to your employee experience. The customer experience, you want it to be consistent so that customers will keep coming back and supporting you and supporting your business. They want to see that they are getting the same type of quality, the same type of service time and time again. They don't want to see inconsistencies with that. You also want to be consistent when it comes to like your staff members, because you can't treat one staff member this way and be lenient with this person and then be stricter with that person. So there has to be a level of consistency, as well as when it comes to like your training people, your systems and processes, because when you bring new people on, you don't want to be like, well, they never showed me this. They showing you different stuff or whatever. So you have to have a level of consistency in your business, as well as being consistent in what you are staying true to for yourself. You can't be easily persuaded for somebody else to get you to start doing something that is outside of what you really set your business up for. Like say you were selling shirts and now somebody suggested you, well, you sell shirts and you on this corner and you're at this festival. So while you're at the festival, it'd be good if you sold the shirts, but you might as well sell some drinks or some food with it. Like you have to make sure you stay consistent and don't let people sway you in other ways just because it might be something easy for you to do. So that was 6. 7 is you have to be accountable. And with that, you have to have some kind of self accountability. The reason for that is because you are the head honcho, okay? Ain't nobody checking you, boo, other than you. All right, usually. Like nobody, because if you're the boss, even if you have employees, or even if you don't have employees, it's like, who gonna check you, boo? Who gonna check you? Only you can check you. Only you can say, hey, this is the standard that I set for myself, especially if you don't have any employees. Only you can say, this is the standard that I've set for myself. These are the goals that I'm trying to hit. These are the things that I'm trying to accomplish. And you have to be accountable to yourself. And you have to be realistic about when you're slacking and when you're doing what you're supposed to do. Okay. So you have to have some kind of level of self accountability, because at the end of the day, only person who really gonna check you with you being an entrepreneur and the business owner is you. And even when you have if you do have employees working for you, usually they're not gonna say, well, they're usually not gonna say anything, because if you're slacking and lacking and doing things halfway and you're not holding them accountable to stuff, guess what? They not trying to say, well, we need to make sure that we're hitting these goals, unless you have an awesome and amazing employee. They don't care. They really don't care. They're clocking in each day. They're going to get paid whether y'all sell something or you don't, because they're your employee usually, unless you have somebody who's an independent contractor. But even with that, you have an agreement set up. So if you have an employee, whether you sell one product or 100 products, they're going to get paid regardless. So if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, if you're not running ads, doing promotions, doing marketing like you're supposed to, getting inventory in like you're supposed to, at the end of the day, they really don't care, because they still going to get a paycheck. So as long as you're not interfering with their money, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to step up and make sure the company or the business is getting money. Now, like I said, there are exceptions to that. I have worked with some great people who were like just as invested in my business as I was, and was making sure, that we hit, different sales goals and things of that nature. But most people, if they are not benefiting from the transaction, there's nothing extra in it for them, then they don't care. Like they're not going to be going out of their way to get people in or get customers in. And I think that is why, when you go to different places and go to different restaurants and stores, while the customer service is so lacking, like these people are getting paid, whether they say hello to you, have a great day, they're getting paid regardless. They don't care. They don't care. But what they don't realize though, is if you're not doing these steps, then the company is losing money. and eventually they can find someone else to do their job or whatever. As you can see, once again, this is going back to staying on top of your industry and like the direction is going. Self checkouts in different stores, grocery stores, I won't say department stores like Target, Walmart, that kind of thing. The self checkouts are replacing the cashiers, which I won't say I'm on board with, because I don't like doing my own checkout or whatever. But some of these people, the attitudes they have when you're checking out, it's like, yeah, I'd rather let the robot talk to me. I'd rather let the machine talk to me instead of you talking to me. So just be mindful of that. You have to be accountable. You have to have some kind of self accountability, because you are at the head of the I won't say the food chain, but you're at the head of your company, and nobody is really going to look out for your company better than you. And if you're not doing a good job of that, guess what? Your business is in trouble and you might be out of business soon. Okay. All right. I've been talking a lot, and then let me see. April had some comments. She said, LOL. Thank you. You are welcome, April. And then she said, you have to be disciplined. Yeah. And next week we'll be talking about, you have to have a lot of discipline. I think that was one of the ones we talked about last week, is being disciplined. So next week too, I forgot, like I said, I went all out of order trying to get through all of this stuff. So next week, so we've been talking about business for the past few weeks. I'm going to switch topics and start talking about money. So there is a book that I have been trying to read and I have not read it. Like I probably started it a couple of months ago. So I think I'm going to talk about what that particular book to force me to kind of read it. And it's called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. I don't know if you heard of it. So if y'all want to read along with me, feel free to do so. But I will be doing kind of like a recap of the different chapters and stuff like that of I Will Teach You to Be Rich, so we can talk about some money topics and everything. All right. So number 7, I said, was you have to be accountable or have self-accountability. The next one is number 8. It's not really a trait, but basically you have to be okay with no, or get comfortable with hearing no. And by that I mean people telling you no to certain opportunities, people telling you no that they don't want to buy your products, people telling you no they don't want your services. Just get comfortable with hearing no. And I say that because as you get comfortable with hearing no, it makes you unafraid to ask for the sale. Because oftentimes, well, I won't say oftentimes, but sometimes when people have a product or a service, no one knows about it because they are scared to tell people about it. They're scared to ask people to buy their product or buy their service or advertise about it. They don't say anything, they don't say anything about it. It's like, oh yeah, I do have this or whatever. So be okay with hearing no, because there are people who are going to turn you down and they say, no, I don't want it, or no, I don't need it. Just know that is just part of the sales process. Okay. That is just part of doing business. Your product, your service can benefit everybody, but that doesn't mean it is for everybody. So when people tell you no, it's okay. I always say all money is not good money. And actually I had a situation today where I'm actually thinking about telling somebody no, but I can't get into all of that because as a healthcare provider, we can't really turn people away, but sometimes in certain situations, I'm like, this is just too much. But anyway, but get comfortable with hearing no, hearing people turn down your service and turn down your product, and don't take it personal. Okay. Do not take it personal. It is not a reflection of you. They're not saying no to you. They are just saying no to the thing that you're offering or to the thing that you are selling. That is all. And I think that's why people don't like hearing no. I mean, I will say this. It's just human nature. People don't like being rejected. Okay. We have never taken too kindly to being rejected or whatever. But as an entrepreneur and business owner, you get kind of hardened. You get kind of callous after you've been in the game a little bit. You get used to hearing, or you should get used to hearing no, or somebody turning you down. And actually, I won't say you should be happy, but it should free you up so you can move on to your more ideal customer. Because I would rather somebody tell me no outright up front than someone else that just kind of like strings me along. Is like, you know what, I might buy the product or I might do it. I'll call you back. Let me call you back next week or whatever. Or I gotta check my calendar. Let me see. Like, I would rather if you know good and well you're not interested, just go ahead and tell me no from the jump. Don't string me along. Don't try and pretend like you're interested. Don't try and act like, yeah, you're gonna get it once you get your check. Like, just say just say no. Say it's too expensive. Say it's outside of your budget. Say it's not what you thought it was gonna, you think it's what you need or whatever. Say, give me the actual reason. I rather you do that and tell me no up front than just kind of string me along and make it seem like, oh, I might do this or I might do that or whatever. Like, ain't nobody got time for that. For real, for real. Ain't nobody got time. Either you gonna buy it or not. Either you want the service or not. Which one is it? Now, once again, this goes back to being a good communicator. You cannot say that outright to the people. You still have to be nice and pleasant and professional. Okay. This is, you know what? This is why this is part, and you see why a lot of small businesses fail. It's not so much it's not so much that we can't sell products or services or whatever. It's all this extra stuff. It's the people we have to deal with. It's the way we have to be able to communicate when we have to say it this way, when we really want to say it another way. And we have to deal with these different things. I totally get why a lot of businesses fail within like the first year, or also late more, some other ones fail within the first 5 years, because you have to be like on your best behavior while everyone else is on their worst behavior. Okay. Or less than optimal behavior, but you have to be, this miracle and this perfection and stuff like that to make sure things work out. But like I said, I got off on a little bit of a tangent, but get used to saying no. Get comfortable with it, and know that it is not a reflection of you personally. It's just they are saying no to their product or service. But yeah, I also get it. Like, don't play with my time. If you really don't want it, just tell me from the jump you ain't interested. Okay, please tell me from the jump so I can move on and ask somebody else if they want it, instead of me wasting my time on your wishy-washy, fickle and phony self. Okay, just tell me from the jump. All right. So I'm sharing with y'all what I really would like to say to some people sometimes, instead of going back and forth. Now I will say, like I said, I have to be very delicate in my main business, and even in my side hustles, in my notary business or whatever. I'm still very kind and nice. Like, I had someone call today, and for my notary business, and they were like, oh, that's kind of high, and I for the price that I charge. And I was like, well, just let me know if I can be of help. And then I made a suggestion, like, you might want to check with this person or this that particular place and see if they might have a lower fee. Like, I'm still nice, but I appreciate that person for telling me that was too high, that your price is too high, so we can move on. Like, okay, cool. Let's cut this conversation short, because what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to go back and forth on my price or whatever. It's the people who be like, well, why is it that? Like, either you going to pay it or not. I already explained why the price is the price. Either you're going to pay it or not. If not, get off my line so I can free it up for somebody else. Okay. Let me see. April had some comments. Thank you, April, for commenting. She says, I like the title of this book. Yes, it's supposed to be a really, really good book. I only read about maybe a couple hours into it. Like I said, I don't know. I think I've just been trying to do too much or whatever. And then April talking about, say you're broke and let's move on. For real though. It's like, I don't want to hear that you gotta wait until you get paid or whatever. Like, keep that to yourself. Like, I I don't really care. You know good and well, even when you get paid, you're not going to get it. Okay. Just tell me no. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it real. Let's be honest with one another. All right. You ain't interested or I'm too expensive. You know, I've been told that a few times. It's okay. I take it as a compliment. All right. Let's move on. All right. So that was number 8. Be okay with no. The next thing, number 9 is, and how, ooh, okay. Yeah. Cause I'm looking at my time. I just realized we have 3 more, so I'm going to breeze through these really quickly. The next thing you have to have as an entrepreneur or business owner is you have to have a strong level of commitment. And with that, you have to be committed to your dreams. You have to be committed to your goals. You have to be committed to the mission at hand. And I said this a few different ways, like when I talked about being consistent and being dedicated and stuff like that. You don't want people to sway you from where you are supposed to be and the direction you're supposed to be headed into. You need to be committed. And when I say you don't want people to sway you, you also don't want disappointments to sway you. So when you're not making the sales, when you are hearing the no's, can you still be committed to the mission? Can you still be committed to your product? Can you still be committed to the service that you are providing? Even when people are turning you down, even when people are saying you're too expensive, when people are saying the different things that they're going to say, can you still be committed to this thing? Can you still be committed to the business and to the goal that you set for yourself? You have to have a level of commitment and not get deterred or get disappointed or just want to give up. You have to have a level of commitment. And I know it can be tough, especially if you are starting off in business and you're not making money, or you're not making the money that you thought you were going to make, and trying to stay committed to that goal or that dream. But it goes back to the very first thing that I told y'all when we started the series 3 weeks ago, is that self-awareness. You have to be so self-aware of, hey, did I do everything that I was supposed to do to market my business? Did I do everything to promote my business? When I asked for the sale, did I ask for it in a confident manner? When I asked for the sale, was I trying to discount it? Was I confusing? Like, you have to have that self-awareness, because when things don't go right, you have to be able to assess the situation and be like, hey, what worked? What didn't work? What do I need to improve on? What do I need to change? What is the feedback that I'm getting? Now, like I said, some feedback you have to take, I won't say with a grain of salt, but you just have to put it in perspective. So if people are saying like your product or service is too expensive, you really need to count the cost and see, is it too expensive, or is this just not my ideal client? Like, that's 2 different things. Okay. Just like people need a car or people want a car, but somebody who buys a Toyota Corolla, no knock to anybody who buys a Toyota Corolla, is different than somebody who says they want to buy a Lamborghini. I mean, they're both cars or whatever, but somebody who is looking for a total Toyota Corolla, of course, they're going to say a Lamborghini is too expensive, because they just need a car to take them from point A to point B. The person who's probably getting a Lamborghini, they're getting it for status, they're getting it for their lifestyle, whatever. They have different reasons. So yes, you have to take the feedback in, be self-aware with that, but also know, is this really my ideal client? Or when someone tells you that you are too expensive or whatever, or is your product really just, product or service just priced way too high? So you have to have that self-awareness when things don't go right, so that you can see, what adjustments do I need to make? Or if someone is saying that you're too high, what kind of service can I offer for the people who cannot afford this, this higher end service or product that I offer? Maybe I should offer a lower end product. And we see this all the time. Like, if you look at McDonald's and stuff like that, they have the dollar menu. I don't even know. They might not have the dollar menu anymore because, inflation. But, they got the little, whatever the menu is, the little cheaper menu, versus if you can't get the full combo, you might can pick 1 or 2 things off of that dollar menu, and you still can eat. Okay. And same thing at different places, Walmart, Target, like, they just don't have I don't know, let's say a vacuum cleaner. They just don't have one vacuum cleaner, and the vacuum cleaner might be $100. They might have another vacuum cleaner that's $200. They might have another vacuum cleaner that's $50. So they have a range of prices because they know they have different types of customers who are coming in. They have a customer who all they can spend is $50 for that vacuum cleaner, and they also have a customer who is like they want the best vacuum cleaner, so they're going to be willing to spend $200, $300 for the vacuum cleaner. So you have to be able to kind of assess yourself, have that self-awareness and assess yourself and be able to offer different things, or seeing how you can offer different things or services to your customer. And that also ties into being creative as well, and knowing when to pivot and adjust. All right, so number 10 is also ties into what I mentioned earlier, is don't take things personal. Okay, it's not you, boo. Now, sometimes it might be you, boo. Sometimes it might be you, but for the most part, don't take things personal. Now, if you are rude to people, you are not delivering things like you're supposed to, you're making promises that you are not keeping or anything like that, and people are talking about you, yeah, maybe you do need to take that personal, okay? Because you ain't doing what you're supposed to do. But if someone tells you no, or doesn't support your business, or doesn't buy your product or whatever, don't take it personal. Okay, that is just not your ideal client. That is just not your ideal customer. Okay, I mean, and you would love, I will say this, you would love for friends and family to support you, but don't be surprised if they do. That's great. If they don't be surprised if they don't. Okay, don't take it personal. Don't say, oh, they just jealous of me or whatever. Whatever their reasons are for not supporting you, maybe they don't really like what you have. Maybe they don't really need what you have. Whatever it is, but don't take it personal. It's not necessarily, if they are really a true friend and a loyal and genuine family member, it's not an attack on you. As well as if a stranger tells you no, or they don't want your product or service, don't take it personal. But I will say, going back to that self-awareness, take the feedback, any feedback that they're giving you, and see if it's valid. And if it is valid, see what you can do to improve or change your quality of service or something like that, or whatever. But don't take this stuff personal, okay? And let's see. And I see April has a comment. I'm gonna put this up, and then I just have one more, and then we should be good. All right. April says a price for a different range of budget. Yes. So you might have to do that in order to accommodate some different people. And then what's up, Still Rocks? He says, we in here. Glad you were able to join. And then April also says, your loved one might not have the money to afford your services. So very, very true. And here's the thing. Money is a very, very touchy subject. And when people can't afford your services, and it's someone you know personally, whether it's a friend or family member, they're not going to outright come out and tell you they can't afford your services. Okay. Nobody wants to say I'm broke. Nobody wants to say you too high or whatever, especially if it's your friend or your family member or something like that, unless they, y'all are really, really close and they don't really, really care or whatever. But nobody really wants to say that. And even if they are comfortable with you enough to say that, it's probably they really want to support your business, but they really can't. So they're going to come up with a different reason of why they're not supporting, instead of saying that they can't afford you. And that's why I say don't take it personal, because oftentimes the things I have found, like when people say stuff to me, like people don't like insult me or whatever on like a regular basis. But when somebody says something sly or slick to me about maybe my appearance or what I'm wearing or whatever, I don't really take it personal, especially when I already know I'm looking good. I look at it as more of a reflection of the person who's saying the thing. It's like, oh, they must not feel so great about themselves for them to say something about me, or they might be jealous of me or something like that. Because I'm like, I know I look, unless I'm looking bummy, because I know some, I know when I'm looking bad, but I also know when I'm looking good. Okay. So if someone is to say something and I know I'm looking good, I'm like, oh, that's not a reflection of me. That's more a reflection of them. They must be going through something. They must got some low self-esteem, and they need to put a dig in me to make themselves feel better. So, I usually don't let that stuff bother me too much. Um, so yeah, your loved ones are not necessarily going to come out and say if they can't afford your services usually. Um, and Still Rocks, he says, hello, my people. What's up, Still Rocks? And April was just telling him hello. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna get to the last one. This one is kind of my favorite, one of my favorite ones, aside from the first one where I'm talking about being that self-aware, because that was one skill, the self-awareness I definitely had to hone in on. And y'all, I'm actually gonna give y'all a recap of all the skills, which is a total of 31 skills. And I'm just going to breeze through them too once I say the last one. So, the last one I have is you have to be a unicorn. Okay. And what I mean by that is you have to be different, you have to be unique, you have to be intriguing as well as beautiful, all the things, all the special qualities that a unicorn has. Like, a unicorn is rare as well. So you have to, in order to be an entrepreneur and business owner, you have to be something rare, unique, as well as so wonderful and awe-inspiring to other people that they are kind of like drawn to you and drawn to your business, or drawn to the service or the product that you are providing. So be a unicorn. And I say that too because you want people to be drawn to you. But when you're a unicorn, you're also not afraid to stand out. You're also not afraid to be different. You're also not afraid to have people staring at you, eyes upon you, all that kind of stuff. I won't say being in the spotlight, but people looking at you because you are different. So be okay with being different. Be okay with standing out amongst the crowd, because you are an amazing business owner and entrepreneur. You don't want to look like everybody else. You don't want to blend in. You don't want to just be, ordinary. You want to stand out so that people can see that there is something special about you. There is something special about the product or service that you provide. So there is something intriguing, even if they might not buy, but they are intrigued enough to see what do you have to offer. Okay. So don't be afraid to be a unicorn when it comes to being an entrepreneur or business owner. Okay. Let me see. April said something, and I'm gonna knock these things out. April talking about, let me look bummy in peace, please. April, I feel you. Most days I am very, very casual or whatever. But I have learned how I can look very relaxed and casual, and I can just, elevate the look at fairly quickly if I have to go and be somewhere or go and do something. So I have learned how to do that. So real quick, I'm going to share with y'all the 31 things. I'm not going into detail from what we listed over the past 3 weeks. Number one, dang y'all, and my numbers are going to be so off. I'm going to try and keep up. All right. 1 is self-awareness. 2, mental stability or fortitude. 3, you have to have extremely high self-confidence or belief in yourself, your product, or your service and your mission of your business. Number 4 was you have to be willing to lose friends. Number 5 was you have to be decisive instead of impulsive. Number 6, you had to be inquisitive. 7, you had to be a rule breaker or an innovator. Y'all, this is where it's gonna get tricky for me. Number 8, you have to be self-sufficient or self-reliant. 9, you have to be resilient. 10, you have to be self-motivated, be your own cheerleader. 11, you have to have self-discipline. 12, you have to have crazy work ethic. 13, you have to be a self-learner as well as a lifelong learner. 14 was you had to be adaptable or flexible. 15, you have to be resourceful. 16, I think you have to have, you need to always want to be self-developing or have self-development. What number is it? 17, you have to be courageous. 18, you have to be persistent. 19, you have to be self-assured. 20 was you needed to be purposeful. 21, you have to be ambitious. 22, you have to be a team player. 23, great communicator. 24, you have to be a visionary. 25, you had to be creative. 26, you had to show consistency. 27, you had to show self accountability. 28, be okay or get comfortable with hearing no. 29, you have to have commitment. 30, don't take things personal. And last, 31 was you have to be a unicorn. All right, so I ended with 31, so I didn't skip any numbers. So I hope that was helpful for everyone. And if you have not seen the other two videos, go back, check them out, okay? Because I was dropping all those gems and going into detail about each of those different characteristics. And if you've enjoyed this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. All right, y'all, that is it. Next week, we'll be talking about, what did I say the book was? I Will Teach You to Be Rich. I forgot it that quick. So we'll be discussing the book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. All right. I hope y'all enjoy the rest of your week. Really quick. April says, yes, we completed. April, have you been keeping the list? Have you been keeping the list of what I've been saying? Oh, thank you, Still Roxy's dropping gems. I appreciate that. All right. And I wish y'all all the best for all the entrepreneurs, business owners out there, side hustlers as well. I wish you all the best in your businesses. All right. Good night, everyone.